Hi, I'm Dr Ray Middleton. I'm the Workforce Development Lead at Fulfilling Lives and an independent online trainer. I've been reflecting on the coronavirus pandemic outbreak and the different reactions I'm having and the people around me are having to it in our thinking, our feelings and our behaviour. As I reflected and tried to make sense of it all, I've realised it would help us all as a society to have a trauma-informed approach to how we respond individually and collectively to the coronavirus, and I'm going to explain why I think this way. Current theories and discussion about trauma define it both as the traumatic event and the reactions to that event. These are called trauma reactions. Traumatic events could be accidental or deliberate, and examples include traumas that happen to groups of people, such as natural disasters like the worldwide coronavirus pandemic, or events that happen to individuals, such as losing your job or income. The organisation SAMHSA defined trauma as a single event, multiple events, or a set of circumstances that is experienced by an individual as physically and emotionally harmful or threatening, that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's physical, social, emotional or spiritual well-being. So a trauma stress reaction can be seen as any experience that causes an intense physical and psychological stress reaction or the lasting effects from harmful events. Whilst the adverse childhood experiences or ACEs research shows that experiencing trauma or neglect is a very common experience in our society, it's also shown people vary widely in how many traumatic events they experience growing up and during adult life. It's important to hold in mind that severity, frequency and types of traumas experienced varies between people. The younger you are experiencing trauma, the number of traumas and the length of time they went on for all make a difference. There's a wide range of diversity and difference in how people react to traumatic experiences. Two people may have very different reactions and responses to a similar traumatic event. And that's because it could trigger different things for different people based on their different history of traumas they've had in their past, maybe. And this could explain why I'm having more or less of a reaction than someone else. I might be a bit puzzled about someone's reaction to the pandemic at the moment. But this could help to see that we all have a lot of diversity and difference in how we react to traumas based on our past experience of and how well we've processed traumas in the past. It's important to remember that often people react to trauma in positive ways by processing and making sense of the traumatic incident or event, maybe by talking it through with someone they trust. In this resilient, healthy, positive reaction to trauma, it has no negative ongoing impact on someone's future life experience. However, sometimes people react to trauma in ways that form health-harming habits, such as drinking too much or self-harming, or feeling very negative about the prospects for the future. That's a way of affecting our thinking. These common reactions to trauma are understandable, perhaps as ways to cope or survive a threatening situation. However, people can get stuck in these habits even after the traumatic threat has passed and they can become caught in a vicious circle of troubled and troubling behaviour. People's ability to deal effectively with and process adversity and traumas in life in a healthy, positive way is called resilience. It's helpful to think about resilience in a social way, connected to the social networks around someone. Those people who can help them cope with and make sense of trauma and adversity. So resilience is not just a capacity inside a person. For example, many people explain how they coped with a traumatic situation was by having someone they could trust listen to them and help them process and make sense of it, making use of positive relationships in their social network. And a lot of us are doing this at the moment, trying to make sense of the government advice and the news as it comes in about the virus. However, not everyone has positive relationships in their life. So our resilience to cope with life's adversities and difficulties is connected to the quality of our social network of relationships. So increasing the positive relationships around ourselves and others in our social network will make it more likely that we can process and navigate the difficulties and adversities we face as we build up our social resilient networks. The problem with the coronavirus pandemic is that the main way to reduce the threat is social distancing, which unintentionally reduces people's social resilience by making it harder to connect with and support each other as a community. So we need to think about how to reconnect people socially, as people are already trying to do, in order to build up our social resilience to make sense and process these traumatic experiences the world is living through at the moment. The more we do this, the less health-harming habits are likely to build up during this time, which may have long-term effects on people and society after the virus has gone. And so we need to particularly think about the more vulnerable members of society at this point in time and how they can build up their social network to build up their social resilience. And we can do this through WhatsApp and social media and phoning people and texting them and even old-fashioned writing to people, because often people in the more vulnerable groups to the virus, the advice is to self-isolate more. So we need to think about the social resilience in terms of helping people process and as a community make sense of and get through the difficulties and the threats that people are feeling through this pandemic crisis. If you find this helpful idea, do share a comment or share the video with someone else, or say what you think about this idea about having a trauma-informed approach to the pandemic would be helpful in the long run. Thank you.